Good morning, friends. I wanted to invite you to join me in the book of John, a cup of coffee, and to really take to heart what Jesus is doing and saying in the Gospel of John. I'm taking away so many things, and I just felt compelled to share this insight and this revelation of what Jesus reveals as one of his best friends gets sick, and Mary and Martha and Lazarus are those friends, and Mary and Martha say, "Hey, Jesus, the one you love, is sick," speaking of Lazarus. And Jesus' response to us in the natural is very perplexing. It says that he took 2 extra days to stay where he was at when he got this news. But he says, "The sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified through it." And it's interesting when I'm trying to understand things from the natural and I'm seeking God and I'm crying out for Him to have mercy to show up in a situation that looks very perplexing and very dangerous, and something that looks like it's on its way down, whether that's a relationship that you're in, whether it's a person who's physically sick that you love, or maybe even your own grades if you're a student in school system or college, or it may even be your marriage, and you're crying out, "God, the situation is sick. I need you to show up. God of miracles, I need you to show up." Because we know Jesus is more than able, and I think it's so important to know He is more than willing. His heart is for our absolute best. And I've found sometimes what I think is best for me is not what is truly best. And sometimes He takes an alternate, long way into a situation because He has things that He wants to do within me before the situation changes. And there's a powerful song with this same message called "Different." I believe it's Micah Taylor. I believe so. And I found in my life, sometimes the situation doesn't change for a lot longer than I would have liked it to. The situation drags out. And in this case, as we walk with Jesus in John chapter 11, he waits till he's dead. So his friend dies. So he literally waits. He gets word that he's sick, and if I understand the geographical distance in this passage, Jesus isn't that far away from where Lazarus, Mary, and Martha are at. I believe they're in, in Bethany. And it's interesting because Jesus doesn't show up before he dies. He doesn't even show up for the funeral. He shows up 4 days after Lazarus has been buried. And I know many of you are probably thinking like, "Wow, that's cold. He didn't even show up for the funeral." Our expectations of what we think God should do can really be a stumbling block, because faith is not about what I desire for an outcome. It's about believing that He is the God of resurrection and that His timing is perfect regardless of what I think or regardless of what I feel. And I know that may sound difficult for some to accept, but faith is being sure of what I hope for and certain of what I do not see. I know my Father's heart is for healing. My Father's heart is for reconciliation. My Father's heart is for redemption and for healing and hope. But when circumstances fly in the face of it, what is your response? What is your response? Is it doubt? Is it distrust? Is it anger? Well, we see some interesting responses here from Mary and Martha. And Martha responds, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But I know that even now, God will give you whatever you ask." So her response is, she's hurt, but she still believes. Powerful song again, Jeremy Camp, "I Still Believe," after he lost his wife of very short time at a very young age. What's your response when you don't get what you're praying for? Your heart's being revealed. Because is your faith in what you want to happen, or is it in Jesus, who nothing is impossible for, just like Martha says here? But I know, big but here, but I know, even now, God will give you whatever you ask. Powerful words here. And Jesus' response to her is timely for Easter season here. "I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live, even though he dies. And whoever lives and believes in me will never die." Do you believe this? And I think this is the question to linger on. Do we really believe that he is the resurrection and the life, that no situation is too far gone? No person's heart is too far gone if it's in a relationship, in a marriage, or in a friendship. It's not too far gone. He is the resurrection and the life. It's not just his title, it's who he is. He is the resurrection. He's the resurrector. And no matter how dead, no matter how hopeless, no matter how dark a situation seems, Jesus came to this planet. He took on a human body just as we have and became like us to bear the burdens and the price that we couldn't bear, to rise from the dead, to defeat death, the very thing that haunted mankind for all this time. Humans have always feared the uncertainty of death, the unknown. But he crushed it, and he resurrected, and now he is the resurrection and the life. Nothing is too far gone. He comes through when everything seems dead and hopeless. I've witnessed it my whole life, when things look like it's just over. And he comes through and he breaks through. He breaks through all of the appearances because he is far greater than any circumstance. So I encourage you, friend, today, don't put your faith in circumstances changing, but rather in Jesus, who is the resurrector and the life. He is the resurrection and the life. And do you believe this? This is a penetrating question that demands an answer, and your life will reveal the answer, because how I respond in circumstances reveals what I truly have put my faith and trust in. If it's in circumstances changing and they don't, I'll get bitter, downcast, and lose heart. If they don't get better, but my faith is in Jesus, I can still remain strong and steadfast and hopeful, because he is my hope, living hope. He is the resurrection and the life. And this Easter is on the horizon. I'm filming this video April 1st of 2020 to give context. And I'm not sure when it will be posted, but Easter is on the horizon. Very quick here. And Easter is a reminder that no matter how dead, no matter how hopeless something appears, a situation, a friendship, relationship, a circumstance, a marriage, Jesus, nothing is impossible. All authority is his in heaven and on earth. Nothing is impossible. So I want to encourage you, encourage myself. Let's put our faith in Jesus. Instead of circumstances changing and being disappointed and upset and angry and disoriented and disheartened, the prescription here and the remedy is faith in Jesus, not in circumstances changing. And I know that's hard, but it's truly freedom. You shall know the truth, Jesus said, and the truth will set you free. The object of your faith determines the strength of your faith. And I love what our pastor here at Cherry Hills, Pastor Rebecca Layton, the first Easter we were here in Colorado, she said that the grave, the tomb is not a resting place. It's not a destination, but it's the pathway to the resurrection. And I know some of you need to hear those words right now. The tomb is not the resting place. It's not the destination. It's not over, but it's the pathway to the resurrection. For something to be resurrected, it first must die. The first is the death. So if you're at that point, I want to encourage you, turn to Jesus, the resurrection and the life, and know it's not beyond him breathing new life and a new start, regardless of the situation, regardless of how bad it looks. I love you, friends, and may you take heart this Easter in who Jesus is. May your faith be strengthened in him. Jesus said, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live even though he dies. And whoever lives and believes in me will never die. The question is, do you believe this?